What if your intuition isn't rare or mystical, but a natural gift waiting to be awakened? Find out how in this episode of the Radiate Wellness Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast with your host, metaphysician, Reiki master, and hypnotherapist, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week, we will discover teachings, tips, and tools to radiate your best life ever with practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate?
Welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I am your host, author, Reiki master, intuitive, and QHHT practitioner, Christy Clemens Hoffman. In today's episode, we dive into the power of intuition, spiritual awareness, and the unseen guidance influencing our everyday lives with Rachael Schmidt, author of the book Common Sixth Sense: Unleash Your Most Authentic Connected Life. We explore how to recognize subtle signs, trust your inner voice, and deepen your connection to energy and consciousness in practical, grounded ways. Whether you're just beginning your spiritual journey or looking to strengthen your intuitive gifts, this conversation will leave you feeling supported, inspired, and more aligned with your own inner wisdom. And if this episode resonates with you, please subscribe so you never miss a conversation. Share it with a friend who's exploring their spiritual path and take a moment to leave a review. It truly helps others discover the show. For more resources, classes, and upcoming events, visit Radiate Wellness online. Now, take a deep breath, settle in, and let's begin. Welcome back to the Radiate Wellness Podcast, where today we radiate your sixth sense with Rachael Schmidt, who is the author of Common Sixth Sense, which is a new book about developing your innate spiritual gifts. Welcome, Rachael. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I am very excited about how this conversation is going to unfold.
Me too. And I noticed your book is just brand new, out in November from Expansion House. So this is a new book for you.
Yes, this was a new undertaking. It launched appropriately on 11/11.
I love that.
Yes, it was a timely message that I think is resonating with a lot of people right now.
It truly is. You know, I talk to so many people in what I do, and I'm sure you do as well. And folks they're agitated. They feel like something is coming. They feel like something is happening. They feel like there are things that maybe we're not privy to. They're just, people are on edge. We've got all these solar flares coming up and things in the sky that are like the comet that's coming in retrogrades and things like that. So folks I'm talking to are very much on edge, and it really helps, I think, to tune into our intuitive abilities in order to feel some calm there, which your book is all about calm.
The book is about getting back to what we came with. We started with all of these incredible innate gifts, from our intuition to our breath, to our ability to manage energy, to awareness, to self-awareness. We came with all these skills. Think of it like the toolbox that lives within us, and we have forgotten about them. And you're absolutely right when you say there is a climate that exists in our modern world where people are on edge. We know that we have higher anxiety rates, depression rates. We have cultural pressures to perform, to be the best. Things are very polarized. We have a lot of factors influencing us every day. And for those deep, deep feelers, as you just mentioned, there are things existing beyond our world that affect a lot of people as well. So we need a path back to our toolbox so we can open it up and we can start using it in the way that it was intended to be used.
Yeah, I agree. Now, yes, this is something I teach as well, is that we're all born with these gifts and these spiritual abilities. And we may be aware of some children around us having these gifts and these abilities, but then somewhere around the age of 5 to 7, maybe a little bit older, we don't notice it as much anymore. So why do you think that is?
Well, I think those abilities become suppressed as children become adaptable to
Mm-hmm.
the environment, to the people, to the messaging around them. So for those children who grew up in families where there was an open dialogue to discuss feelings, intuition, to have those broader conversations, to have those more out of the box conversations, they experience a different way of being, living, connecting than, say, the average child. So I think it is that those children are what I would like to call victims of circumstance as to why those innate abilities are so underutilized as we age from our childhood into our teens and early adulthood and so on and so forth. If these abilities are not being utilized, we forget about them. So when we come together with those abilities, it is not something new. It is a reunion that takes place, a remembering, a wait a minute, I've been here before. I know this. So it is a beautiful reconnection that happens when those abilities are introduced back into our lives at any age.
Right. Now, this is something that I teach as well. I have an ongoing class where we come together, we learn how to use our abilities, we learn what our abilities are, and then we practice and validate each other. So, I mean, this is something that anybody can do. Is this something that you teach as well?
Yeah, so I've been a mindfulness educator, coach, mentor for over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been working with individuals, small groups. I'm currently also a community fellow at Florida Atlantic University, where I integrate mindfulness into the curriculum for graduate students, undergraduate students, faculty, and administrators. So they are really, really incredible over there at Florida Atlantic University. And they have open arms welcomed these mindfulness concepts into not only their curriculum, but their culture as a college, which has been an incredible experience.
Amazing. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you kind of hinted at these tools, and I know that your book and your work talks about tools that all of us have available to us to enhance our intuitive abilities, our spiritual gifts. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Of course, yeah. So in writing the book, I wanted to create a resource for every person. These are innate abilities that are relatable to any human being. So when we think, let's start with your breath, one of the most underutilized abilities that we all came with, the power of the breath. So if we just think about taking a breath, for most people listening, we probably have not been aware of a single breath we have taken today so far. And when we take a breath, if we just take a breath right now and we open up our awareness, we can shift our energy.
Right.
So we start with the breath as one of our most incredible innate resources. So we become more aware of the breath and we understand how to use the breath to leverage our life so that we can live more peacefully, more connected, more authentic, simply just by becoming aware of our breath and using it to our advantage. Because not just reserving it for those difficult times or those exciting times, but everything in between.
Right. When we focus on the breath, we cannot help but be mindful. We cannot help but be present.
There you go. The breath pulls you back to you. So at any moment that you feel an energetic shift, you feel like you have gotten outside of yourself for whatever reason, somebody said something, you had a thought that affected you, your physical body is telling you something. Whenever you notice that energetic shift, you're going to use your breath to return to yourself first before you take action. Because if you do not, you're experiencing disconnection. But if you get back in your body first, you are experiencing connection. So when we think about the tools, we start with the breath. The breath is your powerhouse tool that is going to help you get in the right space so that you can make more conscious decisions that are more aligned. So number one tool, the breath.
I can totally
And
understand that. And we think we don't need to have instruction on how to breathe. We do it every day. We've done it from the moment we were born until the moment we die. And yet, how many of us find ourselves not breathing? You're doing your work, you're doing your activity, and all of a sudden it's like, we hadn't been breathing, or that we don't use our breath appropriately to fully experience the inhale, fully experience the exhale. But I love this. Yeah, it helps you be present in the moment to observe the breath and use it as your power. Now, another thing you mentioned is energy management. And in your book, you say that unfiltered negativity is like a dirty air filter. Unless you clean it, you'll choke on it.
yeah,
What do you mean by that?
so think about negative energy entering your body, your mind, your spirit. Now, it's our responsibility to filter that energy out.
Mm.
And because we've become so dependent on external influence, like other people, our environments, technology, we have given away our responsibility to keep our own filter clean. And the book, Common Sixth Sense, is about bringing that responsibility back home where it belongs with you. We have to keep up with our air filtration system. We have to filter negative energy out. We have to be proactive in doing so. We have to change our air filters out regularly. Think about at home. If you don't take care of your air filter, what you find when you go to change it out. It's very unsettling to see what has accumulated. And this is what happens within us as well if we don't have a system in place. So if you imagine yourself as an air filter, and as negative energy comes in, you envision that air getting cleaned and filtered and flowing. So you can visualize this air filter as a tool to help you in any given moment to understand and recognize, wait a minute, I'm the air filter. I have the responsibility. So it is a visualization exercise that people can try when they find themselves in those negative situations, having those negative thoughts. And they can visualize this just cloudy, murky debris running through them and beautiful, clean air flowing out the other side. And then they can use their breath to return back to themselves. And they can be reminded that I have the power to do this. I do not need to depend on anybody else, any environment, any technology to find peace in my life, that it is my responsibility to find the peace in my life.
No, that's absolutely right. And I think as we all are waking up or coming online, as I call it, as we're all waking up to these truths that, you know what, what's going on around us is not who we are. What my thoughts are is not who I am. What other people are around me is that's not who I am. I feel like, having this, taking this responsibility for the energy that we're not only taking in, but holding on to and giving out, taking responsibility, I think it just takes us to that next level of sovereignty. So I find it very, very useful and very, very helpful. Now, are you an energy practitioner as well, like Reiki master or energy healing?
I don't do any of those modalities, but I have been a spiritual educator and coach for a couple decades now. And so I do utilize my own intuition heavily when working with individuals or groups.
Right. I mean, it's not necessary to have that practice, just an understanding of how energy works, understanding of what our energetic system is and how it relates to our experience. That is plenty. Another tool that you talk about is the widening the lens of life. I think I know what you mean by that. Can you explain a bit more?
Of course. So everybody has their own lens of life, right? And some people have these incredible wide lenses. And some people have these really, really narrow lenses. And we all know what it's like to interact with somebody who has a very narrow lens that's very rigid, very set in their ways. Those lenses are very difficult to widen. And what we do over and over again is we convince ourselves that we can widen someone else's lens, or that it's our job to widen someone else's lens. But we can only focus on widening our own lens. And perhaps we can inspire other people to widen their lens. But so much energy is exerted in our lives trying to widen other people's lenses. And when I talk to people about this, it's almost like they can finally take a big, deep breath because there's an epiphany that happens where we recognize how much energy we are exerting into people, into environments, or even technology that is not in alignment with who we truly are, what we truly value, or what we really desire. So it's a great self-reflective exercise to think about how much energy are you exerting on trying to widen other people's lenses? And can you imagine if you put that energy into your own well-being, into creating your most authentic, peaceful, and connected life?
Right, I agree. And I often have to remind myself that sometimes people come in order to have a narrow lens just for the experience, just for the learning. Lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, we have different paths that we're on. And sometimes, having a narrow focus and narrow path is just as valid of an experience. So it's not my job to widen that lens for them because they're having that experience for some reason or other. If they need to widen it, if that's part of their path, it's going to happen, but it's not my job.
That's such an incredible point to make because I think that that's where compassion can come in to the picture from people as
Yes.
well, is to say, well, that's not how I would think. That's not how I would act. And that's not how I would be in this world. That's not the mindset I would have. But as you mentioned, for whatever reason, that is theirs. And who am I to tell them that they should live through my lens of life? We have 8 billion people in the world, and each person has their own lens. So it does help you energetically manage those people a little bit better to understand that, okay, if I can find compassion for this person's journey, it's not like my journey, and it never will be, but it is their journey. And you're absolutely right. For whatever reason, their life has created those perspectives, those viewpoints, those ideas, those opinions.
Yeah, it's not my job to change that for anyone. I may offer experiences that could widen theirs, but it's not my job to change it for them at all. Now, another tool that you talk about is the 5 voices: mind, heart, body, spirit, and external influences. Can you explain or shed some light on that?
I sure can. So we're all familiar with mind, body, spirit.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we know that in the mind lives our ego. Okay. We also have a heart voice. So let's call voice number 1 our mind, our ego. Let's call voice number 2 our heart. Now, our heart has really good intentions, but that doesn't mean that the messaging is right for us. For example, I love them, but they don't treat me well. The heart can be a little convoluted sometimes. And of course, if we jump back to voice number 1, the ego, the mind, we know that the mind can tell us all sorts of nonsense. It's very valuable. Don't get me wrong. It's very valuable. We need the mind, but it can mislead us as well. So we've got the mind voice, the heart voice. We have the body voice, which just has an incredible built-in alarm system, always alerting us, right? When something feels off or right, we're too hot, we're too cold, we're sore, we're tired, we have energy. The body is a great communicator, and it's pretty accurate. So we've got our mind, our heart, our body, and then we have our gut voice, the most neglected voice of all, where our inner voice lives, our intuition, our spirit. This is where this voice resides. And in writing the book, I wanted to create a pathway back to this voice, to re-access, to reunite with this voice. So that is voice number 4. And voice number 5, or voices number 5, are all external influence. And when we think about the sheer amount of external influences that are coming at us every day, this is all people, all environments, and of course, technology, which is already and will be such an integrated component of our life. So we've got these 5 voices sharing messages with us every hour, every minute, every second of every day. And if we do not have a way to manage these voices, we're in trouble.
I see. Which sounds like it's leading to your fifth tool, which is the blue line. Would you
So
say
the
that
blue,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So I was inspired by the color blue when my daughter and I took a trip to Marrakesh, Morocco.
Oh, yes.
And the blues are beyond any color blue I've ever seen in my life. And that color really resonated with me. And when I thought about what can we use as a decision-making tool, I thought of this beautiful blue line, which is also represented on the cover of my book.
Yes.
What is the blue line? The blue line is our decision-making tool. On the right side of the blue line is our most authentic connected life. That is why it's called the right side of the line. So if we envision this beautiful blue line coming down, on the right side is our most authentic connected life. And on the left side of the line is our life as it exists today, right now. Is there anything wrong with our life right now? No. We're here existing, experiencing our life right now. However, if we make more conscious decisions, we get to experience a more authentic and connected life, which resides on the right side of the blue line. So if we think about applying the blue line in a practical sense, you're sitting in traffic. Somebody said something that upset you. You're trying to make a decision about your well-being. We ask ourselves, what side of the blue line do I want to be on? And what side of the blue line am I on right now? And the most important question becomes, what purposeful, connected action can I take to get on the right side of the blue line? Maybe the answer to that is, I just need a couple breaths. I need to walk away. I need to sign up for the class. I need to call my friend and have the conversation. And sometimes the answer is, I need to do nothing, because I've come to that conclusion from a conscious decision-making perspective. So we ask ourselves, what can I do to get on the other side of the blue line? So this is something we can keep accessible every day, anywhere, anytime. When we feel that energetic shift, that's our body telling us something's not in alignment, something's not resonating. I'm telling you, I'm making it abundantly clear to you, something's not resonating. Now, what are you going to do about it? And that's where the blue line comes in.
I agree. And, this talk reminds me of Jill Bolte Taylor's TED Talk, My Stroke of Insight, if you're familiar. We're not. But also the practice of quantum healing hypnosis technique, which I do, Dolores Cannon's work. The left hemisphere of the brain being that ego mind, that day to day, I have to remember to buy bananas. I need to pay that bill. And then the right hemisphere of the brain, which Jill talks about in her TED Talk, that is connected, that has memories, as we know from QHHT, that has the images and the symbols, is that connected, intuitive, dreamy part of the brain. And so we need both. Can you imagine flying a plane that only has one wing? That's not going to work. Right?
Yeah.
The ego mind, that separated mind, catches a lot of flack. But I don't know. I tend to think that it's important and we need it. What are your thoughts on that?
Agree. I agree. I think in talking to a lot of people, I'll discover in initial conversations that they think it's one or the other. They think it's logic or it's intuition. And blending these two is a beautiful relationship. I always say, use your logic, do your due diligence, consult your intuition. This is for new learners, by the way, and see what the energetic repercussions of your decision are, because you've done those two things. And now try it the other way around. Let your intuition lead, follow up with logical thoughts, and see what the energetic repercussions of your actions are. And of course, and I know that when people lean on their intuition, they're very happy with the energetic results of their decision. But it takes time to get reacquainted and understand the relationship once again of letting your intuition lead.
So when we do blend these two sides of the line with your analogy here, like what does that affect? How does that enhance our life?
Well, your self-trust strengthens. And I would say that that is what people are chronically suffering from right now is a lack of self-trust. They have given their power away. And when we give our power away, we don't trust ourselves. But we already came with the navigation system. Your inner voice is your compass, and it is a compass of truth and authenticity and alignment and connection. And when we lean back into that, we strengthen self-trust. And so by really putting effort and time and energy into strengthening your relationship with yourself, not only you become more aware, you become more self-aware, and your self-trust will grow and evolve and strengthen. So it's just a win all the way across the board.
I agree. And you teach these things, you write about these things. I teach and write about these things as well. And I believe that when we are working in conjunction with our higher self, with our spirit, with our guidance, that it just enhances our left brain life, our 3-dimensional life, right? We are so much more than what we think we are. And when we incorporate that right side of the brain, that right side of the line, then it just makes our experiences so much better because we realize we're not alone and that we can trust ourselves. So I love that message. I love that message. I'd like to go back to your origin story because I always like to talk about where do people come from? How did they get in this? So did you grow up being intuitive or being interested in this stuff?
I would say childhood was more of a deep connection to, I grew up in Boulder, Colorado, so a deep connection to earth, animals, and physical activity. Those were things that I just really connected with on a very deep level. And that was back in the 70s, 80s. You had a lot of free reign, a lot of freedom to explore, feeling the wind in your hair when you're on your bicycle and diving into the water and feeling the sun on your face and really getting to experience present moments with those types of energies is what shaped a lot of my childhood. And as I got older, I became a lot more intuitive, and I would have conversations with people and they would ask my advice or opinion or perspective on things. And that's where the intuition just really started to expand and grow. And I've had my own practice for 25 years now. And then from there, it started to expand to a larger audience where I had clients and people telling me, you need to cast a wider net. You got to get this to more people. And then I started getting involved about 5 years ago with Florida Atlantic. And that's where the book came about, was how can I create a message that can reach the masses, that can give most people a roadmap to where they should start. And that's a bit of my origin story, is just having this absolute love for helping people enhance their lives. And I'm big on connection. I'm a connection person. So I don't gravitate towards a small talk and those types of things. I've always been a deep conversationalist, as I'm sure you are as well. But yeah, and all those things remain the same to this day. I still love nature and earth and physical well-being. I've been an avid practitioner of things like yoga and Pilates and dance and things like that my whole life. So, what began in childhood is still what resonates today. And I like to encourage people to think about how the answers sometimes are just so obvious. If you go back to your childhood, if you go back to the things that really, to your origin story, and say, like, what do I remember about what resonated deeply? It's most likely the same today.
And there are many books out there about spiritual development, about developing your intuition and related subjects. Why did you decide to write Common Sixth Sense?
Well, first and foremost, I wanted my children, who are young adults now, to have a resource in their life. And that was my driving force, is to have something they could go back to. And Common Sixth Sense is a little different take, because I found myself in a conundrum of, I did not want to participate in the oversaturation of self-help, self-development. There's so much, people have analysis paralysis. There's so much content out there. So I had to think differently. And that's where I came up with the roadmap and vignettes, stories, reflections, contemplations, and to make the book the beginning of someone's journey. So even though you go through a deep cathartic experience through the book, it's just the beginning. The door is now open. So, once you open that door, what type of information can flood your life, what type of awareness you can gain. So, in writing the book, originally, I wanted a resource for my children to have that they could go back to over and over again in life to serve as a guide. But as the book evolved, and I would talk to people about it and share some of the messaging, I saw that it resonates with so many different types of people. People who are deeply spiritual, people who have never dabbled in spirituality. So the book has a spirituality subgenre. It is a self-help, self-development book, but I wanted to create something different, something that was very user-friendly. And it's my voice. I walk with you through the book. So I'm right there with you, guiding you each step of the way so that you're never alone when you're going through the journey of the book. So I feel like this is a resource for anybody who is just saying, I've had enough. I don't know where to start. I'm tapped out. I'm curious, and all of the above.
Actually, coach clients one-on-one and in groups, plus deliver keynotes and do presentations, et cetera, et cetera. And you've got a website. What is your website?
So you can find me at Common6, that's SIXTH.com.
As in Common Sixth Sense. And I'm on that now, and there's information about your book. There's media and reviews, very, very helpful. The services, a way to contact you. Yeah, I feel like we've covered so much in this very interesting talk. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you think is important that we definitely don't want to leave out?
Well, I would like to say to anyone listening is that when you go on any type of self-exploration journey, you want to be very curious and you want to seek information, but that you should always come home to yourself as the sanctuary, that you should never give up the power of being the safe, familiar, comfortable space. You are your sanctuary. So I want everyone here to remember that. Feel free to information gather, do your due diligence, seek out information, but always know that you are safest, most comfortable, and exactly where you need to be when you are at home with yourself.
Love that, because really we are what we have and we are our own home. I love that. It's beautiful. Rachael, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today about such an important topic. I do think developing that common sixth sense is a lot more common than we think, and we can trust it and we can rely on it. And I think we should. So I really appreciate your perspectives. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And well said.
Do my best. Don't know what to watch next? Decisions. Well, we've got some suggestions. You can click this little video here and watch that. It's something that we think you're going to like. If you like the last one, you're going to like that one too. You can also click on the subscribe button. And if you do that, then you'll get notifications whenever we have a new video up. Win-win, right?